What is going on, you guys? It's your boy, Funshine Bear here, and we're back with episode 46 of the video game therapy series. And all-time shout out to one of the greatest Key and Peele sketches of the Manly Tears one with Funshine Bear. Yeah, my skin is like I was gonna say it's the Alex one, but I don't even know which one this is. This is like a Baron or something. I'm not even sure. I'm playing offline, so I guess it has to. My game has to talk to Microsoft to get my skin to load it in. It can't just be something that's local. So I'm sure they have their reasons. But it is a little annoying that I can't play with my skin without being connected to the internet. Because I'm not connected to the internet right now. But whatever. I don't really care. The game still works. It's the same world. The moment they go to like the online world things, forget about it. I will fork and make a game called Minecraft Classic, and then people can actually play offline. So it's one of the all-time selling points of Minecraft is the offline play, in my opinion. But anyway, regardless, we're back, episode 46. I actually recorded this entire one already. Well, that's not true. I recorded 45 minutes of it, and I realized my mic was not connected. And so not only did I lose that to the depths of OBS software, but I can't even listen to the part of what I did. So I don't remember what I was talking about. I do remember I got a bunch of stuff done on my list. Not that the point of these is to get items off my list, but that's kind of it's a nice thing to have when my list is nice and short, and I can truly get into really pointless stuff. But anyway. I don't remember where I started. It's unfortunate. Oh yeah, I know where I started. Digital homelessness. What does that mean, and why might it be a more prevalent issue than actual homelessness? I'm just kidding. It's definitely not as big of a, I guess, for comparing problems here, which I would never recommend, but sometimes it's necessary to compare problems. Oh my God. The howling is getting obnoxious. Yeah, digital homelessness is nothing. It pales in comparison to actual homelessness. What I mean by digital homelessness is, again, I don't mean to sound like I'm reminiscent here in the good old days. You know, I can put my monocle and my little top hat on, and I'll, get my little strain of wheat and put it in my mouth because I'm an old timer. But in the good old days, back when the internet was in its Wild West stage, which it is firmly exited that stage. Everyone kind of had their own piece of real estate. Now, everyone's, computer is more or less a bootloader for Google Chrome, and they just, go to the 10 websites, Facebook, Twitter, Pornhub, whatever. That's pretty much it. No one goes to anything else. I guess it's x.com now. I forgot about that. No one goes to anything else, and it's kind of sad. And again, this is not me speaking from experience. This is me speaking from a nostalgia that I never had because I did not exist on the internet at this time. But people all had their own. Again, this is my interpretation of how people it used to be, which I hope is accurate based off my presentation. But I don't know who's writing the history books here. Everyone, before search engines, people used to have. In order to find links, you'd have to go to random websites, and then on those websites they would have links to other websites with cool stuff. And so, everyone kind of had their own, rustybuckets.com or rustybuckets.whatever. And then on that website, you'd find a bunch of stuff about Rusty Buckets, and then maybe you'd find some other cool links and some other, some Flash games or something, or whatever else you'd look for on the internet, and you just kind of explore. There's kind of a sense of discovery and fun to it. Whereas now it's all this curated, crappy meme content or whatever the hell, is being pushed on any of these number of these big platforms. It's not the same kind of freedom, so to speak. And so digital homelessness is kind of I'm sure I'm not the guy who came up with that phrase, but I don't really know where I heard it or who I'm taking it from. And no one's going to watch this video and claim it, so I don't really care. But no one really has a home anymore. Everyone's got their profiles on Facebook, but they don't own any of that. That's not that could be, you could just say something about Hitler and of course everyone, your whole thing will be deleted in 5 minutes. By the way, there's my Hitler reference, because apparently, I guess in every single one of these videos, I reference Hitler in some sense, and it's not because, and I guess to justify myself a little bit here before I get too into the weeds of things, most of the time it's because I'm trying to use a ridiculous example, right, of something terrible or something horrible, and Hitler kind of foots the bill on most of those clauses. If I need a terrible example of something, or an ideology is dangerous, or a person is dangerous, or a speech is dangerous, whatever it is, Hitler's pretty all encompassing. You say Hitler, people know exactly who you're talking about. So that's kind of why I use that as an example. So anyway, whatever. My Hitler reference is done, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But anyway, yeah, people have no real sense of home anymore. There's no indie website. So I suppose in the spirit of that, I am working on launching my own rustybuckets.xyz. The .com domain I could have gotten, but XYZ seems a little, I don't know, maybe let's bring it back to the old school or something, but not that was old school, but it can be retro. But anyway, it'll be old school. If you look at it, you'll think like, do you need to update your website? That's the point. The point is it's supposed to bring back kind of that nostalgic feel, maybe for those early 2000s, those 90s internet sites where it should be super fast. I mean, if you've looked into any of the the sizes of some of these modern websites, it is unbelievable the amount of crap that they jam into these things. One of the sites even have had Bitcoin miners in it before. It's not just one site. I just mean it's there's even like a style of site that has injected like Bitcoin miners into it, and that might even be kind of like a meme at this point. I'm not sure if any site has legitimately put Bitcoin miners into it, only because you're probably not going to get much of anything out of a tiny little bit of mining. But I guess if your website's getting a bunch of traffic, there's probably a way you could, I don't know, use some client-side computing to mine some Bitcoin. But either way, the website will be very minimalistic, kind of links and other things, just like a bunch of stuff I find interesting or funny. Kind of, again, a callback to the old days of the internet when there was a lot more discovery. And of course, I'm advocating for the revival of an internet that I was not around for. But I'm envious of, because I think it was a lot better. Even in the early days, I remember playing like Flash games and different things. And I know those are even modern by some in some sense of the word, but compared to the technology we have now, those are pretty archaic. I used to play the old school. I think it was a Windows 7 the pinball game. Oh, it's unbelievable. That was actually one of the only things that Windows ever did right. But that was also back when they didn't realize how much of a cash cow they had and controlling people's operating systems, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, I think we should bring back that the days before the search engines, and search engine optimization even was like Google used to rank sites, and it still does to some extent, on the amount of cross linkage you'd have. So amount of first of all, how useful is your content? How much do people like your website? But also, like, how much do you have? How much do you link to other people's websites that also have interesting content? And this wasn't based off of. This didn't used to be like nowadays. Like the equivalent is just like find a bunch of write this blog and jam a bunch of URLs in here that link and give you that Google juice. This was more in the sense that people will go to your rustybuckets.xyz, and then they'd find a bunch of other cool sites and links that they'd find to. This is a high-ranking site because people like the content that's on here. It wasn't, SEO didn't used to be a purposeful thing that businesses would do to try and get first on Google and all this shit. It was more so a legitimate hey, we're trying to index all these websites. We got to find, how should we rank them? Okay, the sites need to link to other sites because that's how people discover stuff. But now nobody even discovers things through other websites. Like they pretty much only discover using search engines. So then we become more reliant on these search engine technologies, which again are kind of based off of like random nebulous criteria. So anyway, mine is built with the old school frameless website in mind. You don't even need any JavaScript. It's literally just should be a super tiny website, just like basically some text, and yeah. So I don't know. Launch it with a bunch of links and videos and links to videos and links to websites and links to tools that I think are cool and useful. And some of it's actually most of it's even just for my benefit. So anyway, I'll probably make a whole little video about that and plug it there. But anyway, yeah, I think there would be nice if people kind of reclaimed their real estate on the internet, and people had their own, like all my friends each had their own website in some way, and we're linking stuff, and because that's also it's just there's problems with kind of abstracting all of the technology away from, now people don't even know how to write just like a basic HTML website, which of course I'm speaking from experience. I didn't until I, started messing around with a lot of it, but I think it can. If we get very, very far away from the basics of the technology, it can be dangerous to not understand how it works, and people can have wrong ideas on things. And I don't know. I just think it'd be nice if we go back to a day where people had their own websites and can, post their own thoughts and have their own links and have their own little corner of real estate. But now, there's like 10 websites that everyone goes to, and then people pretty much only use a browser on their computer. Can't do anything else. Like, I asked somebody to go to like the file manager on their desktop, and they didn't know what I was talking about. And I was like, you've never even gone into the file explorer on your, like, have you never downloaded anything? Like, how do you know where to get, like, how have you never used this before? I was just aghast that they didn't even know what, like, a file manager, or I'm not even sure what they thought it was, but they were just so baffled when I was like, all right, go to the file you downloaded, and they couldn't find it. They didn't know I don't know. I'm just kind of like ranting about, I guess, computers, but in some sense, I think I'm the weirdo these days for thinking that people should know that. So I don't know. I think it'd be nice to go back to a day where digital homelessness was not a problem. So anyway, yeah. The next thing, toilet paper math. Maybe you've seen this before. Maybe you haven't. You go to the grocery store and there's like paper towels and toilet paper, and there's always some ridiculous mathematics and fuckery that they arrive at some ridiculous equivalent of toilet paper rolls. Like, for example, there's like, it's a 2-pack of toilet paper, and it's like, since it's triple ply and, double thickness and like 1.5 times width, it's like 2 times 4 times 3 times 2. And it's like, this 2-pack of toilet paper is actually 32 regular rolls. It's like, first of all, I don't think anyone uses like this like single ply or quarter ply toilet paper or whatever your baseline comparing it to. No one has that frame of reference. Okay, everybody uses like whatever this double or triple ply thing is. Even hotels don't even buy the stuff that's that weak. So it's ridiculous. But I also don't know whether to just like fully critique it or to give it some props. Because in some sense, I guess on the very surface, I am like, what is this? Like, who are you trying to fool with this? And I suppose at some point it became just this big dick measuring contest between marketing executives at different companies. Charmin would say like, oh, we're, 2 times of whatever, I don't know, Soft Butt Incorporated, had their toilet paper as. And so, we gotta up the ante. I think I turned on sticky keys by accident. Whoops. Anyway, we gotta up the ante. We gotta make it double that. So it's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. It's like, what the hell are you guys even doing? And because everyone looks at that, and I don't even know how many. I have to like pick up the package and feel how many things are in there, or actually like look at it and kind of pick it up and observe the package to figure out how many rolls are actually in there. Because if I didn't know any better, I'd just look at the package and say, 32 pack, and then pick it up and I go, what? There's only 2 rolls of toilet paper. How's it 32, rolls? But they do this ridiculous, like, since it's triple ply and there's, we have this extra, technology that makes it twice as absorbent or something. So we'd multiply it by 2. They come up with this ridiculous schema for like calculating the amount of equivalent toilet. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so in that sense, I think it is absurd, but there also just might be some genius to this, Mathemagics or whatever the hell they're calling this like weird toilet paper math that is allowing them to calculate these ridiculous equivalents, and essentially quadruple the amount of toilet paper they're selling. Because I'm sure in their sales book, we sold 4.4 billion rolls of toilet paper. It's like, okay, is that 4.4 billion actual rolls, or is that like the equivalent of, Mathemagics rolls where it's your, somehow multiplying everything by 3 and then 2 because of your whatever. I don't know. It's just kind of a hilarious, weird, like thing that companies do. And I don't know. I would love to believe that this doesn't actually fool consumers. Like, there's no way somebody actually looks at that and goes, oh, well, this one says it's only 30. This is 32 equivalent rolls, but this one's actually only 28. It's like they're making it all up. Okay, none of it is like true or accurate at all. It's literally like magic, or mathemagics, as I like to call it, because it's not real math. Okay, it's just like they just made it up so they could put a higher number on there. But it's 2 rolls of toilet paper. Like, look at it. It's nothing beyond that. They're trying to fool you, but I don't know. I just think it's kind of a stupid, weird thing that I thought I'd point out. That I don't know. Because I bought toilet paper the other day and I was thinking about it. But I suppose on the topic of weird, tiny, semantic, pointless bullshit stuff that fires me up for no reason. I think I might have already talked about this, but the naming schemes. So I was talking about the numbering schemes here. The mathematics for these toilet paper rolls is ridiculous. The naming schemes for a lot of these restaurants and foods are getting ridiculous. I've already ripped on Starbucks. Tell me how a tall is like the smallest one. It's like a kid sippy cup. And then grande is actually the medium. Like, it's not even grande, like grandy small or grandly large. It's neither of them. It's the medium one. And then venti, which sounds like the most petite one there, is somehow the largest. Like, I know it's some Italian shit or something. I don't know. But it just seems a little ridiculous. So, I mean, if it's a tall, then, like, would a short be a fucking plate of coffee or a bowl or something? Like, there's so many questions that I have just for, I mean, whoever really wanted to go with that. And even out of spite now, I don't do the whole, I've been to Starbucks and know, like, it's like it goes tall, grande, then venti. But I refuse to just go in there and say, I want a venti frappuccino with, Starbucks special soy milk. It's like, no, I'm not saying that. I want the largest one you have, black coffee. Can I have the big dick black coffee? How about that? And even just on other restaurants, like, I'm sure you've been to restaurants before where they have like some ridiculous name for whatever their thing is. You go to Big Dick's Burger Bar and you got to order can I have the Big Dick special, please? It's like, why name it that? Like, I feel like a clown. And what I'm going to do is I'm either not going to order that dish because I don't even want to say, oh, can I have the Big Dick order special with the special chef sauce or something? I don't want to say that, or, oh, can I have the Little Dick soup? I don't want to say that either. I'm either not going to order it, or I'm just going to like point to it, or I'll say soup, and then your wait staff is going to have to go back and forth with me to decide what soup it is. Or I want the Little Dick soup, or like the little shrimp soup, or little shrimp scampi. Like, quit with all these weird ass names. What happened to just like, okay, I want the house burger, I want the classic burger, or just, if it's got avocado on it, the California burger. If it's got barbecue and mac and cheese, the Texas burger, whatever. And I'm sure someone will get mad at that because, avocados are good. I like avocados, but I'm not hating on Californians. But just put some, like a normal adjective that I wouldn't feel like a fool saying in front of your burger. So I don't feel like a complete moron when I have to order the Big Dick special with chef's special sauce. Like, I just feel like a complete idiot when I do that. And part of it might just be a purposeful, like, sales tactic. Maybe everything that is sensibly priced is named with that ridiculous schema, So if I have to actually want to order the most bang for my buck, I have to look, with a straight face at the waitstaff and say, hey, can I have the Big Dick sandwich, please? Versus the normally labeled items are not ridiculous. So I don't know, maybe it's a purposeful tactic for me to either buy a more expensive item that's worth less, or look like a fool trying to order a Big Dick sandwich, which, again, I just don't get it. But anyway, that's kind of another semantics rant. Oh my God, this guy's annoying. Another semantics rant on the naming scheme at different restaurants and companies. It's annoying. I don't know why anyone would ever do that. So yeah, I guess whatever. Another thing, again, just also just on semantics. I guess I have a bunch of these little nitpicky things, so I might as well just get them off might as well get them off of my list. So I was driving on the road yesterday, and I saw like a suicide prevention sign, which I'm not going to bash on suicides. You can put your thumbs away for Twitter cancellation. I saw a sign that was like a suicide prevention sign, and it said, um, like help prevent suicide, lock up your guns. And I think, I don't know, on the surface, it kind of, it's well intentioned. I think it's good, it's important. Gun safety is, people don't, if your guns aren't locked up, someone could take it, someone could shoot themselves with it. But it also seemed a little misguided because, it's like, oh yeah, the guns, like if we had less guns, people wouldn't kill themselves. It's like, I think that the suicidal people might be the problem. It's not that we have guns, right, or that they're insecure. They are insecure, granted. I'm not going to argue with that. But isn't it the fact that people want to kill themselves that would be the people don't own guns and then become suicidal and then want to kill themselves. They want to kill themselves, and because it's easy with a gun, they would do so. But it's also like, I mean, again, I'm not kind of use your thinking cap here. There are probably easier ways to do so, cheaper ways to do so. There are pills. There are there's lots of other ways that a suicidal person can go about doing if they're dead set on doing this. And yes, of course, the gun is the Hollywood way of doing it. It's the most straightforward. It's whatever. But so I guess in some sense it is a useful preventative measure if you're somebody with living with or living around somebody who's suicidal, to be sure your guns are safe. But wouldn't it? I think it'd be because I think the advertisement, it's not really an advertisement, the awareness campaign, I suppose, that and advertising are almost the same thing. The awareness campaign is geared at people that I suppose are colleagues or related or are with people that are suicidal. So saying, okay, if you know somebody who's suicidal and you own a gun, make sure it's locked up, which is fair. But also at the same time, like, I think the root of the issue would be, okay, why does this person want to kill themselves? And I don't think the gun is the reason they want to kill themselves. And so I don't know. I just find it a little strange that was the message. And I suppose if I was paying, I don't know, what are they, $10,000 to have that big billboard up there for a year, I'd probably want to think a lot about the message I'm sending and who I'm talking to and what it's insinuating, because I suppose at least on my reaction to it was like, okay, well, yes, I understand that this would help prevent suicide, but I think if we wanted to prevent we should probably start with the people that want to commit suicide and figure out why that is. I don't think gun ownership automatically makes you suicidal. So, and if that was the case, then there'd be an argument to take the guns away. But I don't think that's not, that logic doesn't there's no evidence to suggest that. So anyway, I just thought that was a weird, like, why, like, what? I don't know. So interesting. Yeah, something else related to, not related to any of this actually, but if you can't already tell, I'm a judgmental person in some sense. I tend to make judgments of things, not in a way that's infinitely negative, so to speak. I try to have some nuance and give arguments the benefit of the doubt and try to see things from different ends. But perhaps I have biases that are terrible. But I find it much more difficult to judge people that are older than me versus people that are younger than me. So people that are younger than me, and again, you're not supposed to compare. That's kind of that leads to a lot more problems than it solves. But it's easy to look at somebody younger than me and go, okay, well, when I was this age, okay, what kind of frame of mind was I in? Is this something? How far off base does this seem, given that I was once this person's age? But what I see a lot of is like older people that are like, oh, you don't know what it's like. Once you turn 28, your knees just start giving out. It's like, dude, what? First of all, like, I'm pretty sure it has more to do with the coffee and beer that consumes more than half your caloric intake every day, that screws with your knees, than like your age, right? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that, or a physician to know that a terrible diet and a horrible exercise regime is probably more to blame for your crappy knees and back than anything else. And it's the same with like the whole experience versus expertise versus like, it's one thing to, to join NASA as an intern and all of a sudden be, hey, I know what's going on. We should make the rocket this way. And some dude's like, dude, you've been here for like a month. I've been doing this for 4 years. I kind of know the lay of the land here. Versus like you get hired as a janitor and the janitor is like cleaning the floor with a toothbrush, and you're like, dude, there's a more efficient tool to do that. And just because you've been doing something for 40 years doesn't mean you're a genius at it. Doesn't mean that you could have been doing it wrong for 40 years. And I think some people don't recognize that. You could have been, I'm sorry to tell you this way, but it's possible you have been doing this the dumbest way possible for a long time. And I think people have to understand that as basically, especially if it's something as dumb as like mopping the floor, right? Which I don't think having more years of experience gives you the ultimate leg up. And I guess it's different when we're talking about like jobs and careers. I suppose the biggest beef I have is with people that they turn 40 and they're like, man, my back is just it's just so weak. You won't know until you're 40. I'm sure, like I'm 100% sure that I won't be running around dunking and setting Olympic records and all this other bullshit, when I'm 40. Totally understand. But, like, you're out of shape. I haven't seen you eat a vegetable in ever. So I think there's probably a couple reasons why your body's not super happy with you. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with your age. Your age doesn't help. But don't use the fact that you're older than me, not even old. 40's not really that old comparatively, I suppose, as like an excuse that I can't say shit to you. And I think people just use it as a cop-out. Say, oh, well, once you get my age, you'll know, especially if like you're like 28 or something and you're trying to tell a 22-year-old that, their knees aren't the same. It's like, dude, what? You're not even old yet either. You're like pretty much the same age. So don't act like this 1 year difference. Oh, once you turn 25, the pounds start coming on. It's like, no, I don't think, like, really? You don't think it's possible for someone to stay lean once they turn 25? Like, no, I think you should have a bad diet. Like, I don't know. And plus, like, as a younger person, you can't say anything, versus if you're judging someone who's younger than you can be like, oh, well, I've been there. This, maybe it gets harder when you get older. Sometimes your motivation slips more and yada, yada, yada. And you get busy with whatever. But then people that, like, shit on younger people because they don't have, oh, you don't know what it's like to be 40. Okay, now I have to wait until I'm 40 to say shit to you. Otherwise, I can't say anything. It's like, so then you're not even open. There's no room for discussion. It's just open and shut. Because you're not 40 years old, you can't make any comments about, having bad knees or, whatever. And it ultimately becomes just another dick measuring contest of like, I don't know, who's put their body through worse torment and is worse off because of it. I mean, why would you even want to compete that? I don't know. People compete in the weirdest ways. Whether it's competing for pity of some kind or competing for, there's all number of different dumb things people compete for. And I guess knee health being probably one of the stupidest. If they, you don't know what it's like to have these 35-year-old knees. It's like, okay, whatever. Now, obviously, once you hit like 50 or 60, I understand there's like, once you reach a certain age gap, I'd say like a 55, 60-year-old with bad knees, obviously that is far enough away, I think, from like a 25-year-old to warrant like a, you haven't been there kind of thing. I'm not going to start talking to a 65-year-old and say, hey, you motherfucker, if you had done, squats more, you'd have had better knees or something like that. Obviously that is, I mean more of like the more comparable age ranges. Like, if you're 31 and like shit talking a 26-year-old because of, they don't know what it's like to be 31. It's like, dude, that is not a comparable age difference. If you're 60 and you're telling an 18-year-old, yes, like totally understand that. Like, I have no argument with that, but you can't, once you turn 25, it's like, dude, you're not that much older than someone who's 23. So you can't, that is not fair, But anyway, I still just think using your age as an excuse as to why like why someone doesn't know something because they're not that age yet is kind of like the ultimate, like, get out of jail free card / like, oh, I'll just, go fuck yourself. You can't say anything. It's, because I have to, in order for me to say shit to you, I have to wait until I'm 70. And then once I turn 70, you'll be even older. Like, time moves at the same speed for everybody. So it's not like I'll ever catch up, so we'll never be on the same level, right? If you're older than me and you're talking about how, your knees get bad when you get older or something. It'll always be that way. You'll always be older than me. You'll always have a complaint to say, your knees when you get this age, you don't work the same, whatever. I just think it's annoying that people use their age as a cop-out excuse to bitch about something and then to not have any discussion around it, So, I don't know. I guess God bless the 65-year-old's needs. Let's see. Totally forgot about. I'm trying to follow a similar trajectory as what I did when I recorded this last time. I don't know how closely the script I'm following, so I don't know. The last time, this is the last thing I covered before I realized that my mic was off. So I suppose I'll start with this. Is it more important to be? I guess this is kind of a dumb question, but I'll get around to that later. Is it more important to be aware of limitations or strengths when it comes to oneself? So I suppose if you had a choice to be aware of what you're good at versus what you're bad at, what is more advantageous? So I suppose, first of all, evolutionarily, survival wise, I think it's be more important to look at your limitations such that you're able to you can look out for what you're not good at, and you can how are these things not whatever what you're not good at, and how you can improve. That's obviously an important thing of it, as well as just awareness of what you're bad at is a very helpful and useful debugging tool, not to waste your time. Because if you think you're good at everything and you always try to do everything all the time, you're gonna that'll burn out pretty quickly. You realize that you're doing things in a horribly inefficient way. So I think being very aware of what you're objectively bad at is good for coverage, right? In terms of risk analysis of your stock portfolio, right? If you're taking a big leap of faith on one thing, you'd want to balance that out with something that's a more reasonable, safer bet kind of thing. The equivalent of investing in startups alongside, stocks and bonds or something like that, would all be in that same area. And then I suppose the case for being aware of your strengths, confidence, and I suppose this kind of ties to just bravado or testosterone or whatever hormone you want to call this, or rope it into. I'm just going to use testosterone because it's generally associated with this kind of sense of grandiose whatever. It's kind of this positive feedback loop where being very confident in something and doing something and succeeding helps you succeed in the next thing, which then boosts the confidence in succeeding. And it's this constant loop of I can do this, and even if it's you can't, but then you kind of convince yourself and you somehow bullshit your way through it, you'd be surprised at the number of things, and this is just kind of ubiquitous, the number of things that you can just kind of brute force bullshit your way through. You don't have to know, or you can have almost no no predisposition to be good or bad at any of it. You can just kind of brute force your way through stuff. And it kind of works. All you really need is confidence. I think to some extent you can be a Silicon Valley billionaire if you just have enough, confidence, and you're able to bullshit your way through everything. Business plans, products, hiring, everything. You could bullshit your way through a lot. And in some ways it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You kind of have this weird, grandiose belief that's just total bullshit, but then you believe in it so much and you keep you're still so utterly dumbfoundedly confident in this thing that you somehow are able to pull it off. I don't know, there's some there's a lot of success stories that boil down to essentially people being almost stupid in their level of I'm just convinced that this is going to work, or I'm going to do this or that. And it's dude, if you had any idea how how dumb this is or how far off you are, then you would never do this. But I guess because you're so unbelievably confident and, I guess that as a strong suit would be pretty helpful. Also, it also kind of helps with just gratification and being satisfied with your abilities. If you're constantly focused on, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm strong this, I'm strong at that. I think it likens yourself to being more happy with your situation and your abilities and yada yada yada. So you tend to have maybe a more grateful attitude about things. Being more aware of your strength. It also allows you to perhaps be more, I don't know, selective on what you're going to do. You know your wheelhouse, you know your strength. You're not going to doubt something that you know you're good at. Whereas people who are aware of your limitations might be very much, unsure of something. Even if they're good at it, they're like, I don't know, should I really think that I'm good at this, or should I, because I don't really know, that kind of thing. So of course, like most things that I've ever discussed in any of these videos, of course, it's somewhere in the middle in terms of being aware of your limitations or your strength. There's certainly a middle ground. I suppose the answer is if there is an answer, of course. If you're someone who tends to be very aware of your limitations, then to try and, I don't know, take a piece of that Silicon Valley entrepreneur grind set, full of shit person, and kind of incorporate that in some way. And same with I suppose the people who are have an abundance of confidence are generally not the ones to be taking any advice because they're confident enough to know that they're too smart for that or something. So they wouldn't be the ones to take my advice in the first place. But I suppose if they do want to try and humble themselves in some way, that would be a helpful thing to be aware of limitations. I think self-awareness as a skill or a thing that embodies both of these is like very, very important. I think more than anything, I think the ability for a person to be self-aware is one of the first things I kind of recognize about somebody. So if I talk to somebody and I can tell within just a few, sentences or conversations with them, or just like a short conversation, whether or not that they are like self-aware in some sense, or if they're just like they have their head up their ass. And it's not to say that I, only fuck with people that don't have their head up their ass, but there is, to me, it's one of the first things I kind of look for, I suppose, is like, do they know, like, I guess, the state of affairs, universe, where they stand, everything like that, or do they have some other, view of things? Not to say that there's like my view is the right view, but I think even being aware of other views is like an important distinction of self-awareness. If you just like, let's say that you're, I don't know, a devout Muslim or something, and for some reason you are unable to comprehend any other religion's existence or its reason for their existence or anything like that, then you'd be someone that might lack the self-awareness that I would look for. But if someone's like, oh yeah, I am a Muslim, but I recognize that there are other stuff, there's kind of this other thing where it's just, like having that self-awareness, I think, is something that is, I don't know why I can't get these stupid things right. The self-awareness is I don't know, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a skill or just a thing that embodies this, but it is something that is often refreshing, I suppose, be a way to describe it. Because people that aren't self-aware or don't kind of see things the way they are, at least don't have some sense of humility about approaching other people and other things, can be very obnoxious to deal with. Whether it's just a dick measuring contest or some other form of something. But anyway, that's enough for like the limitations and strength. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of an interesting topic to see where the awareness of either of those come in. But I think awareness in general is the key to take away from that, not necessarily the strengths or limitations part. I think obviously both are important, but I don't know. The awareness altogether of knowing where you stand in all of that is more important than anything. So, yeah. Anyway, what is the goal of life? What is the goal? I thought of something that I think is a relatively okay, decent, whatever, passable framework for assessing the success, I suppose, quote unquote, of somebody's life. And it should, or the goal of something, whatever. It should be to have stupid problems. What I mean by that is you can judge a person's well-being, I think, based off of the state of their problems. Everyone's got problems, right? I'm not, and to every person, their own problems are like the most important thing, right? So in the same way, some homeless person begging for food or something, assuming they're not like a druggie or something. I suppose that at that point their biggest problem would be to get more drugs. But assuming that they're a legitimate homeless person through no fault of their own, if they exist, whatever, their biggest problems to them are like food and shelter and water and can I live tomorrow kind of thing. And those problems are kind of on scale with, this suburban mom who's got to worry about, they fucked up their Starbucks order or something, And I think you can judge the state of each person's affairs and their place in society by, what are their problems? What's, because to each person, they're important to them. They're the most important to them. So the homeless person, their most important problem is getting the water and food and whatever. And to the mom, it's, the Starbucks order or whatever. And the stupider your problems are, I think that is the better litmus test for how good your life is, right? So if your problems are really, really stupid, you're doing just fine, right? You really don't really have any problems, right? The reason this came up because I was reading this book, and it's actually a good book. I actually like the book. It's about I'm gonna sneeze here in a second. It's about it's called Triggers. It's about like how your environment shapes your behavior, and I'll probably go into depth a lot more with it later. But it's very, very interesting. It's about the importance of your environment on behavior, and I even talked about that some before. But I just got around to reading the book now. But this guy's an executive coach, which of course I generally hate all these books that are all this big, like, the first sentence of the book is, oh, do you want to be a CEO of your company? I immediately just want to shut the book. But I've actually read this book and I've gotten a decent bit out of it. I like it. But one of the examples he used in his discussion was his friend was having this problem, which again, I'm going to call it a problem because again, to his friend that this is a problem for him, whatever. His problem was that, so he has and again, I'm going to try not to sound so super sarcastic with this, but I will sound sarcastic. So I'm not sorry. One of his houses is in the New Hampshire area, up north. And then he has a place in Manhattan that he has invited his friends to come visit, but he's getting really tired of his friends coming to visit him at his place in Manhattan. And he's wondering how he can keep a positive attitude while his friends are visiting him at his Manhattan house, that are from his other place in, the New England area. And I'm like, okay, what? This guy's problem is that he's annoyed that his friends are going to like, first of all, he got two houses, like at least. Okay, we're not even going to go into, he didn't release his tax returns or anything on this, so I don't know. But he's got at least two houses in very, very affluent areas. He's mentioned something about like them in like a New England part, presumably a wealthy part of New England, and then like a part of Manhattan, obviously, which I assume is very expensive. But he said he has like multiple bedrooms, so he has plenty of room in his Manhattan place, which if you don't know, that is like more than an arm and a leg. That's an entire body's worth. That's a lot of money. So his problem is that his friends are visiting him and he can't keep a good attitude to like, and like what they're doing, they're not like doing manual labor. They're going to Broadway shows, pizzerias, and the like. And he's having trouble keeping a positive attitude. Now tell me, what kind of fucking problem is that? Are you kidding me? How is that a problem? Like this, and I realize that to this guy, this is the extent of his issues. This is the equivalent of getting food or drugs or whatever to the homeless guy, right? But to put it in perspective, that is not a fucking problem, okay? You're not even doing any work. It's not even like, it'd be one thing if like, I was trying to feel sympathy for like a Fortune 500 CEO or something who's, dealing with a lot of pressure, the investors are up his neck and he's in this catch-22. Like, I have enough trouble finding sympathy for someone like that where, I don't really care if that guy has problems. That's the reason he's getting paid all that. But this guy's problems are that his friends are visiting his luxury apartment in Manhattan too much and he can't keep a good attitude. I'm like, what kind of fucking problem is that? Like, this is ridiculous. If that is the extent of your issues, not only the fact that you have options of which house and things you can stay at, you have no problems, okay? Your problem is that, you're just worried. I mean, I'm not even sure what I would, like, I guess I don't know what else I'd have to worry about if that was my only problem. But the fact that this example made it into the book, I think, is what is telling. Because I'm not bashing on the guy, per se, for having this as a problem. Like, that's a fair... I suppose once you reach a certain threshold of income, your problems become so trivial and so stupid that this still feels like a major problem to you. But the fact that the author felt it was like a compelling enough problem that readers would be like, oh, okay, I see the problem here. His friends are, they're overstaying their welcome at their Manhattan home, and then he's tired of going to Broadway shows and pizzerias with his friends, so he's got to keep a good attitude. I'm like, dude, if those are your problems, like, we'll switch. Like, those sound like the easiest problems of all time. Like, to keep a good attitude around people that are your friends. Like, first of all, if you're struggling to like keep even keel or to not be dejected around your friends, are they really your friends? How much are you, because look, if I was in a terrible mood and, whatever, most of my friends, I could look at and be like, dude, I feel like fucking shit today. I'm going to be a dick today. Just heads up, FYI. Like, I feel horrible. Just so you know. And they'd be like, okay, well, yeah, that's fair. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's just me that I'm able to do that. But it sounds like this guy either has friends that he doesn't like, or it just has the dumbest problems of all time. So the fact that this guy's problems are so trivial, besides the fact that this guy has nothing to worry about. This guy has no problems. In my mind, he has literally no problems at all. So I suppose the moral of this whole thing is, you can judge a person's quality of life or their situation, for lack of a better word, by the quality of their problems. If somebody's talking to you and they're complaining about their problems and they're saying, oh man, this is my problem, I stubbed my toe, think about, where these problems fit in the grand scheme of things. And depending on how stupid their problems are, you can have a roundabout rough idea of, okay, where does this person, what are they worried about, right? If they're worried about food and stuff like that, then, their problems might be pretty significant, money, debt, other stuff that, they broke every bone in their body. Okay, these are real problems that, might threaten the actual survival of you. But if your problem is that your friends are overstaying their welcome, that you invited them to your Manhattan house of, which it's not like they're saying this, like, it's not like they're sharing a bed. He says there's like 3 bedrooms and there's like a couple coming. So it's like, even if each person had their own room, they'd have enough rooms. But like, you don't want to go to Broadway shows. You're going to too many Broadway shows, or like, first of all, I wouldn't even go to Broadway shows if I guess that's just an old person thing. But how are you complaining about that? How is that ever a problem that you need a solution for? And I think the other thing that pissed me off about it is that it made it into a book. If that's the example couldn't you have come up with any other example, like an athlete that's dealing with a problem of some kind, or like an Olympic athlete or something, or somebody's dealing with a problem with their, their interpersonal problem with their wife or their husband. Those could be other good examples where, a lot more's on the line. If you're having a relationship problem, those are, they're still somewhat trivial in the sense you're not fighting over food, but, relationships are, very important, even on the whole hierarchy of needs thing. That's, so those are arguably a very important thing. But what kind of fucking problem is that? And how does that make it into a book? I mean, for God's sake, that seems ridiculous to me. So I don't know. I guess that's why I started talking about that. I just feel it's ridiculous. So yeah, I guess judge somebody's quality of life based off the importance of their problems. So yeah. Let's see. Last thing I suppose on this, and this is a short little aside. I've never been big on birthdays. And my new saying, I'm just going to start saying this to anyone. If it's anyone's birthday, including my own, if you know my birthday, feel free to just do this on my birthday every year now. I think birthdays are kind of stupid. I think I'll talk a lot more about that maybe later. But my new saying around birthdays is fuck you and your birthday. And that's what I'm going to say. That's my new way of wishing people a happy birthday. So instead of saying, oh, happy birthday, can't believe you made it to, 23 in a affluent family, from the Midwest. It's like, no, fucking fuck you and your birthday, That's my new thing. That's what I'm going to do from now on. Not going to be running. I still celebrate birthdays and I guess eat cake and, participate in the festivities, but you will never find me excited or thrilled for somebody's birthday unless there's some other reason why I'm excited about it. It won't be because of the birthday itself. It'll be because, the boys are getting together or something like that. Or, maybe I'm going to a Broadway show at, my friend in Manhattan who's got too many rooms or is too busy eating pizza or something. Whatever. So fuck you and your birthday. Whatever. I'll wrap it up there. So I've been talking for 2 hours now because I recorded this twice. And I fucked it up the first time. Damn you, OBS. It's my own fault for not checking the mic. But hopefully this goes out at some point. I don't have internet right now, but I'll upload this eventually. So when you see it, you see it. Doesn't matter. No one watches these when they come out anyway. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Fuck you and your birthday. Peace out.